So this is the third video blog, and I was at the refugee center this past Friday, June 3rd, and when we got there, I just started hanging out at the foosball table with some of the men there, and they weren't as talkative as they were the last time. They were kind of really into their game, which was great. I just watched. They're really, really good. And then I think it was at 9:30, me and Trevor started serving breakfast. He was inside the kitchen with Nassim putting the tea out, and I was handing the refugees in line the bowl with the egg and the apple in it. And originally I was looking at their breakfast, these grown men being served, and they were being given a hard-boiled egg and an apple. And I thought about what I ate that morning for breakfast, a banana and peanut butter and almond milk with a cappuccino, and I was just like, how does that fill them up? My breakfast that had been bigger than theirs barely lasts me 2 to 3 hours. I leave the refugee center already hungry, and I hate thinking about that because that's all they get, and they don't even know when they're getting their next meal, whereas I know I'm going to go leave the refugee center and grab lunch. So that was hard to come to terms with, and also so hard to come to terms with how grateful they were for it. They smiled at me as they passed, said buongiorno, and they're just grateful that they could get one meal in for the day. So that's what I was originally dealing with. And then I had one of those, up until now at the refugee center, I haven't really seen the really dark and gloomy side of it. I mean, the Life of a Refugee Day where we walked around, yeah, I saw that part, but I never actually came to terms with the stories of actually seeing it firsthand. I don't know how to describe it. Like the week before at the refugee center, I had so much fun. The guys were so positive, and playing foosball, they were so smiley and hopeful, and it was great. Like I smiled with them. And the scene that I'm about to tell about right now was that first kind of reality hitting where I had to hold back tears. So there is a kind of stop in the line. No one was really coming up for breakfast. It was almost 10, and we were trying to communicate with Nassim. He doesn't obviously speak much English, so it's a lot of nonverbals or just trying to understand what he's saying in Italian or whatnot. So somehow he asked Trevor if Trevor had a wife, which is just like, that's funny because it's Trevor. So we both kind of like laughed a little bit, and Trevor said no, like I don't have a wife or anything, and we asked him in return, do you have a wife? And I'm not exactly sure how he processed what we were asking him, but he said, yeah, I do. And then he kind of dove into this. He started saying mama, papa, wife, and then he said 6 bambini, which I kind of put together as kids because when we had Sean's lesson in the Basilica, the bambini, the baby. So kind of put that together as kids. And he was kind of saying words that we didn't understand, but we got those people in, and then all of a sudden he went like this, like just that sudden movement of death. Obviously, like they're gone, and I I didn't even know how to react to that. I just looked at him. I like as in what he said that so casually with such a movement like that, and again he repeated, he was like that, and at that moment I don't think I moved. I didn't say a word. My eyes must have been wide. My mouth even could have been open because that feeling that I felt, I had to hold back tears. And thank goodness Trevor was there because I can't even remember what Trevor responded, but he said something to just keep the flow of the conversation going. But I don't even know how I didn't cry. I mean, I'm glad I didn't, because if he's still here every single day waking up serving food and then going on to his next job of selling things and doing it every day, I had to be strong for myself and him as well. And then he continued on making a gun sign like this, and he showed us scars, indents on his lower leg, which, again, we're just putting together the clues. He was shot there, wounds. It was all just a jumble of signs and nonverbals, yet we were able to put together what happened, that his mom and dad and wife and 6 kids were murdered. And that's what he lived with every day. His family completely gone. And to me, that's something that has been the most impactful on me thus far, because my family, they're everything in this world to me. I am so unbelievably close to my 2 parents and my brother. Even just thinking about anything happening to them brings tears to my eyes, because they mean that much to me, and I can't even imagine going a day without them, without talking to them. Yet he lost his entire family so brutally, so suddenly. Yet here he is, still so smiley, so happy, and it's shocking that he can even still do what he does every day. And after I was talking to Trevor and Jen about the same thing, and like saying how I didn't understand, and they brought up the point of it's either you sink or swim, you survive or you don't. So yeah, he could have buckled and he could have not really continued on, I guess you could say, but then he'd die too. So it's really unbelievable what these people do, especially Nassim, and you have to, you really don't understand until you see him do that firsthand. I would have never known that had happened to him, that had happened to his family. Uh, Again, I'm speechless, and in that moment, I'm happy I was able to experience the moment, but and understand more, because again, before this, I'd only had the smiles, the hopeful, the hugs from the refugees, and actually hearing it or seeing the nonverbals of Nassim, it puts it into perspective that this was so sudden and brutal, and it happened to him. So again, just life changing, and you learn from it and you grow from it. So that was the first part of my day at the refugee center. And after breakfast, I kind of walked around there a good amount of the time and talked to some of the refugees. One in particular I talked to for a really long time. His name was Muhammad, and he was such an intelligent person. He spoke great English. He had attended in Gambia. Growing up, he'd attended an English school, so fluent, like great conversation. And now in Italy, he was going to Italian school, so he kind of knew some of it. But very interesting story, which I would have loved to find out more about the reasons behind it. He was born in Gambia, but his parents had been living in New York City for 29 years now, and he had a younger brother and younger sister also living in New York City. He'd been the only one born in Gambia, and almost, it seems like, kind of left behind, which, sensitive subject, so I'd never asked why, but he loved America. All he talked about was being able to go there and move and reunite with his family there one day, which, again, the family topic comes up. He's living alone, basically. First of all, he had to leave his home, and now he's living alone and is stuck in Rome, where the rest of his family is living life in America, and that's just so difficult to cope with. I am living freely in Italy on a program that's making me a better person, where I can study, where I can learn, where I can travel, and I can't see my family for two months, and I miss them so much, and I know I get to be reunited with them soon. Whereas he is stuck here until he said until 10 years, and then he can travel there or get a visa there, not live there legally, but he has no clue when he's going to be reunited with them, and he's alone, and he's forced to be here. So that whole family thing, just coming back, how you cope with living on your own, and just living day by day. But again, Muhammad, just one of the nicest people, talking endlessly. We never even asked him a question about being a refugee, and he dove right into documents and telling us about what it takes and the process and his hopes and goals, and just such an amazing person to know and get to talk to. And it really, I was telling Jen this, I already get so defensive when people bring up refugees or talk about them, that I feel like I need to explain to them and set them straight. And it's people like this, because you wouldn't, when you think of a refugee back at home, you don't think of someone like Muhammad, who's so intelligent, speaks better English than people back in America, and knows 4 or 5 languages, is in Rome taking another language class. You don't think of that, and all I want to do is be able to defend these people, because that's the least they deserve after being dealt the situations they've been dealt. So again, Friday was just another great experience at the refugee center. When I talked to my parents on the phone, when I talked to them the other day on the phone, I explained to my brother for a good 10 minutes, my dad for a good 10 minutes, and my mom for a good 10 minutes, all separately. They were not together when I talked to them, about the refugees and how much I love it, and just being able to, this is the point of it, being able to spread it from one person to another, and that's how people are going to learn and be able to understand the issue. They're already so intrigued by it and can't wait to hear more about it. So again, this experience is just something that I'm going to be able to carry with me and share with other people. And it was a harder day emotionally, Friday at the refugee center, but it was one that tested me, and also one that made me grow and understand even more about the situation as a whole. So I can't wait for Wednesday when I get to go back. Ciao, see you tomorrow.